Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Robin, and I'm so happy to have you all here, especially because I have not done a sit down and talk video about my hair specifically in I don't know how long. I couldn't even tell you. And that's crazy because the way in which I started my channel in my very first video pertained to my hair, not to mention the first video of mine that had the most traction or went viral, whatever the case may be, is a big chop video that I did almost 8 years ago when I decided randomly one day after work to just big chop my hair. There was a lot going on in life at the time, and I was like, what's one thing that I have been wanting to do, but I was just too scared to do? And it was cutting my hair. So y'all, when I got off work that day, and mind you, I was working the overnight shift. So I got off work at like 5 a.m. I went home, I took the braids down that I had, and I just cut my hair off. I didn't have any rhyme or reason to it. There wasn't a certain length. I just cut everything off, and it came to about this much hair left. And then I ended up having to go to the hair salon and have them like really cut it. The sides end up being tapered. Like, it was a really big cut. And now that it is years later, I have worn my natural hair. I have worn wigs. I have worn braids. I have worn protective styles. And I have thought about doing a big chop again. I want to talk about the 4 lessons that I have learned since I big chopped. Yeah, let's get into these lessons, starting with number 1. Lesson number 1, which was for myself, but also anybody that is considering big chopping or has big chopped because their hair was damaged from heat or because their curl pattern wasn't what they wanted it to be and they wanted to just start fresh, is that if you're going to big chop, you cannot apply any direct heat to your hair if you are worried about the health of your hair, because it's just not gonna work for you. It did not work for me. The only thing that I did use was a blow dryer, but the moment I started to use flat irons, curling irons, things of that nature, I started to notice that the health of my hair wasn't what it initially was when I first big chopped. So one big lesson that I learned was not to use direct heat, because like I said, the moment that I started to use flat irons, because one day I was going on a trip and I was like, I just want to straighten my hair, my natural hair. And the moment, after the first time, like when I did it the first time, I'm like, oh, well, this not too bad, you know, because the curls reverted back. But I started to do it more and more, and I noticed that my curl pattern was messed up. I was starting to get heat damage again. And basically I ended up having to do like cuts in between over the years to get rid of that damage and kind of not start my entire hair growth journey over, but start growing my hair out again from that particular length, because I had like inches of heat damage. Lesson number 2 is that the quickest way to grow your hair after a big chop is wigs. And I know that specifically worked for me. So helpful, so convenient. You don't have to really worry about your hair underneath. Still wash it underneath. Still make sure that you're oiling your scalp, getting your treatments when you go to get your hair rebraided, and getting your ends clipped. But wigs have been so beneficial because I do not have to worry about my hair or putting heat on my hair. And if I want to wear my hair straight, like right now, for example, or have like that straight look, I can do that without compromising the integrity of my natural hair because it is tucked away under this. Lesson number 3 that I learned after big chopping is that protective styles actually aren't that protective. So I have done box braids, I have done twists, I have done regular braids to the back like cornrows or French braids. I have done all of those protective styles, and I must say, after I've had box braids, like those knotless braids, I would see the most damage to my ends. And because I saw so many people wearing them and talking about like, oh, it's a protective style because your natural hair is put away, I'm just thinking, oh, that makes sense. Like, I'm not putting heat on my hair. I have these braids in for an extended period of time. I'm not really putting any tension on my hair because they didn't use a ton for my hair, like weave, simply because my hair is very thick and it was also long. So I'm like, oh, it's not that much tension because it's not that heavy on my head. But y'all, whenever I took out those braids, ends were absolutely insane. And I was going back to back and getting braids back to back. Like, I would keep my braids for 2-3 months, take it out, wash, deep condition, clip my ends, and then go right back and get another set of braids. And over time, you will notice that the damage it does to your ends, because I ended up going to a stylist right before I got this wig, and she was like, what is going on with your ends? And I'm like, yeah, I think it was because of all the braids I got. She said, yeah, all of those protective styles, like some of them aren't that protective, like they're still damaging your hair, even though you aren't putting direct heat on your hair. So think about that next time, even if you aren't big chopping, if you're just looking for styles or trying styles because you're trying to protect your hair. Not all protective styles are the same, and some protective styles, in fact, aren't even protecting your hair. In fact, they're damaging your hair. Last but not least, lesson 4 that I learned is to get those ends clipped regularly. I don't mean once a year. I mean I would say even sooner than when I was going like every 8 weeks. I was going like every 12 weeks because that's how often I would get my hair rebraided. But if you can go every 8 weeks, do that. But whatever you do, or whatever your regimen is, get your ends clipped regularly, because I learned the hard way that once you start to have that damage at the ends and it starts to go up, it's like you're basically gonna be starting over, not from a big chop again, and maybe depending on how much the damage is, but you end up having to start over because you have to get so many inches cut off. And it's like, all right, you're wondering why your hair only grows to your neck. It's because that damage keeps going up, and you just so happen to catch it when you go back to get your ends clipped and it's only gotten up to your neck. So get your ends clipped regularly. I cannot stress that enough. That is something for me to stress to myself as well. I did not do a good job last year of getting my ends clipped as often as I should have, and I unfortunately had to deal with the repercussions of that, which was really getting a couple inches of my hair cut off. But nonetheless, now that I know, every time that I am going in to get my foundation braids under my wigs redone, definitely getting a treatment again, and then also getting my ends clipped, because I want to grow my hair out as much as I did some years ago. Like after I did the big chop, and after like 2 or 3 years, I saw how long my hair had gotten. I was like, this is crazy. So I want to get back to that and getting my hair down my back. Right now it's like at the middle of my back, but getting my ends clipped is definitely going to help me throughout all of this. I think that's one of the most important things outside of not putting direct heat on your hair. That's all I have, guys. The things that I have learned, the lessons that I have learned since I big chopped my hair. It is a journey, and everyone's journey is different. You learn different things about yourself, about your hair texture, how you have to take care of your hair. Also, what your hair can withstand, because even though it took a couple times for the heat to start to damage my hair again, for other people, all it takes is that one time using the flat iron, or their hair may be able to withstand even more heat than mine did, and they'll still be okay. But it's really about figuring out what works with you. Same goes for hair growth. Everyone thinks there's like one rhyme or reason for how you can get your hair to grow. And honestly, each person is different. And for me, getting my ends clipped, oiling my scalp, played a part, but a lot of it really is my genetics. But for now, while I'm growing my hair back to where I want it to be, I'm gonna stick to my routine, oiling my scalp, not putting direct heat on my hair, wearing wigs, getting my ends clipped, and I will definitely end up seeing the growth even over the next couple months and what that does for me. So if you're considering big chopping your hair, these are some things to think about. There are probably tons of other things that people have experienced or learned, but just consider these if you're big chopping, because you want to do better with taking care of the health of your hair and the integrity of your hair. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.